Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Christian with How It's Done podcast, and I'm here with a good friend of mine, John Ludwick Jr., with the Governor's Club, Night Lasers, and the Rising Sea. How's it going, man?
Good. How are you, Christian?
Pretty good, man. Can't complain. So, right off the bat, man, for those watching out there that don't know, just tell us what you do.
I own a laser engraving business, so I work with a laser machine and basically laser engrave anything from woods, acrylics, leathers, and I have a little car club called the Governor's Club.
Awesome, man. So, how did you get started doing? Well, let's just first start off with Night Laser. How'd you get started doing that, man? Just talk me through that.
Well, basically, I was at a point where I was laid off from my current job, and I had a friend in England who had a laser engraving business, and I visit him in the summers usually, and saw how he ran his business, and it really kind of sparked an interest in that field. And after talking with him for a little bit about the ins and outs of a machine or the do's and don'ts of the industry and stuff like that, I decided that was a new venture for me. And so I kind of just threw myself into it. Bought a machine, learned how to use it, and married myself to it in a way.
That's awesome, man. So this is a solo venture for you, yeah?
It is. Yeah, it's just me. I mean, an aggressive expansion at some point may be necessary, but right now I haven't even really tapped my full potential, so I enjoy it being just me.
That's cool, man. Yeah. I know that you guys do like a lot of stuff, so just tell me what's everything that you guys have to offer as a company.
I do a lot of stuff, everything from like people's weddings, cake toppers, table numbers, stuff like that, to production stuff for merchandising for businesses, leather key rings, wooden cup coasters, car show trophies, stuff out of acrylic, display, industrial product numbers for different components and parts. And
yeah.
So there's kind of a high ceiling in an industry like that. I can do a lot of different stuff, I guess.
That's cool, man. So as far as what sort of equipment are you using, and is it high maintenance stuff?
I run a CO2 laser, which is a CNC laser machine. So basically it's basically for anyone who's used something like that, it's an X and Y axis CNC machine, but rather than a router or a plasma cutter, it uses laser as the application.
Oh, okay. Hence the name.
Yeah, exactly. There is some maintenance involved. I got acclimated to what the daily maintenance and routine work on the machine was, but there's not a lot. I don't have like a full-blown woodworking shop or something like that. Yeah. So it's like the laser machine and a few pieces of tooling, an arbor press for riveting stuff, and a sander and stuff like that. Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Cool. And you do it all out of your basement?
My shop, yeah. My shop's at my house.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So that's good and bad sometimes. Because sometimes
you're working from home all the time.
Yeah, I find myself shutting the lights off at 4 a.m. sometimes. Oh, wow. But it's good. It's kind of whipped me into shape as far as having a set schedule sometimes. So.
Do you ever have to outsource your work, or is it just all you doing your?
The only thing I've ever really outsourced, I think, is because some design work. I don't have a design background, and there's been a few instances where I've been stuck on some line work of a design or something like that, and time is of the essence of the job. So I'll have a friend who's in graphic design like hammer out some critiquing or something needs to be done. But as far as the hardware is concerned, or as far as the actual tangible job, I haven't been able to or had to outsource anything. So
right, and you're always having to convert people's logos to specific files in order to be able to use them on your equipment.
Yeah,
correct?
You basically become a graphic designer by default with a business like that, because you're working with either people's photos or logos, designs.
Right, and you sometimes probably get like logos that are like super intricate, and you have to just like
yeah. So I mean, it's been a fun challenge. Sometimes it gets a little frustrating.
I can totally see that.
But I feel like it's sharpened my graphic design skills, whatever there may be of those. So yeah.
What's a typical day like for you?
I'm an early riser, and I definitely chalk that up to my father and my grandfather as well. They're definitely like early risers. I get up at, I don't know, maybe 5:45, 6 in the morning, and I got plenty of friends that like to sleep in and say, well, if you run your own business, you can
be on your own time.
You can wake up at 10, but I've always been an early riser, and so I get up pretty early, get a cup of coffee, have a little stretch routine. I mean, I'm hurting.
You're up early.
Yeah, the 20s. My 20s were rough on me, and I'm sure we're going to talk about some of that. But so I have like a little stretch routine, get a cup of coffee, and have a couple eggs and some breakfast, and kind of get to work as far as the shop's concerned. And I've got a lot of stuff going on in my father's hobby shop too, as far as some of the car projects and stuff. So sometimes I divvy up my time. If I don't have a lot of commission work on the table, we'll work in the shop on some of the cars as well. So
right on.
But
first thing you do, I'm guessing, is you just log in, check your emails, get sorted out, and then you just get straight to work.
I've put dry erase boards in every room of my house so I don't
forget
stuff.
Yeah.
And I've realized that now that I'm 32 years old, I almost feel like I'd be sharper than like I feel like I am, because I forget so much stuff now. Emails, Instagram direct messages, Facebook Messenger messages, just all the platforms, text messages. Sometimes I forget about all that stuff. So people, if they're trying to like get a hold of me for a job or whatever, I literally have to write down on my dry erase boards in like every room, like check emails and messages. So.
Dude, I feel like at work I'm always writing stuff in like on stickies, notepads.
Absolutely.
Putting them on my monitor, and I just have to.
I'm an absolute advocate for like the
can't remember
sticky
anything.
notes, the writing on your hand if you have to. It's it's definitely needed sometimes.
So as far as people reaching out to you, what is your number one way of getting business?
I'd say at the moment Instagram.
Instagram,
yeah.
That seems to be the
it's
the go-to.
It's been, I don't have a sign out in front of my shop directing people off the street into my shop. So
right. So there's no like foot traffic. It's just all
exactly.
on Instagram and internet.
I think it works. I think it works hand in hand with a business like that, because I can post photos of the products I'm making, and people see those photos, and it immediately almost like lets them know what I can make. And so some people will say,
and you don't have to get like fancy with it. It's just real work that you just take a picture of.
I think Instagram's been the best platform so far.
I can't even remember Instagram when you couldn't DM somebody. I feel like
I remember that, because I remember when that first started.
I mean, I do, but I don't want to.
Yeah,
because it was just like you share your photos and it was cool, but you couldn't really go past that.
That's right. Yeah,
and now
it was all Facebook if you wanted to
right. And now Instagram is just a whole new monster. It has stories. It has messaging. Businesses are thriving because of it.
We got a massive Instagram plug right now. It's like, shout out to Instagram.
Instagram DMs.
DM me. Yeah.
So you're
gonna put the Instagram handles like Christian Cannabis and
follow us.
Yeah. An urgent plea for friends.
All right. So the Governors Club. Tell us about that.
The Governors Club, that started as really just basically a group of friends and I. I don't want to say as a joke, because that's really kind of discrediting, I guess, what it's become.
Right.
But it just started as a few friends. We had some older BMWs, older Mercedes, and kind of as a joke, it was like the Governors Club, kind of like the country club, the yacht club, we kind of wanted
members only.
It was like kind of like an exclusive thing, and we had some stickers made, and we had them on our cars at H2O in 2012, and we had a lot of people just kind of ask about it, and then it was like, it's a members only thing, like don't worry about it. And then after a while, more friends got involved, and then I started a web store, and it was like shirts and stickers at first, and then once I started the laser engraving business,
man, it was like a home run after that.
It really was, because at the time I bought the machine, I didn't have a lot of know-how about that, so I used the Governors Club audience to like start making goods for the Governors Club, and was able to sell wooden rearview mirror hangers and key rings and stuff like that. And so that's how that started, and it's kind of snowball affected into just a group of guys, which luckily I can say like around the world. I mean, it's kind of crazy to see guys from all over the place ordering stickers or having the handle in their little bio on Instagram and stuff. I mean, and that's never been any sort of like obligation or whatever to be like a part of it. It's not really like a membership thing. It's just it's been really cool to see like a lot of people kind of get it, kind of understand that it's an automotive enthusiasm through and through, whether or not you're into Volkswagens or hot rods or JDM stuff, and so I think people have like been able to kind of carry that on their own weight. It just kind of, so it's been fun. It's very little effort. It's been cool. It's kind of been a hub for people to just kind of hang out.
It's been really cool being in the car scene as long as I have, and I'm sure you've been in it longer, and seeing these brands that have started out as, let's say like a club or a group of friends, and they've just like expanded to a brand.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been really
kind of
cool.
like what you guys did.
Right, exactly.
Exactly.
Started out as just a crew of friends. a blog, and in the same way, I don't want to discredit it, but the name and stuff just started out as just like a little joke, and like now it's just a full-on brand.
I think in order for something to make, I don't want to say an impact, but in order to like gain the movement that you want it to, it almost has to start that organically.
Right,
to say
exactly.
Somebody,
it can't be forced.
Some of the best bands that I know that you listen to too started as a joke.
Yeah,
and it was
exactly.
like some friends that started a side project, and next thing you know, they're signed.
And sometimes when you start out like that, you just have confidence, and it's you, and
but it's organic.
It's
in
organic.
That sense.
Yeah,
exactly. And I think you go forward with like an unmarked confidence, I guess.
Yeah.
And everything you do from there on out is because you're stoked on it.
Right.
And I think that's contagious in a way. I think kids, especially today with how saturated stuff is with the internet, and kids seem to get their motives all twisted up because they see like Instagram followers or something, and they're like, oh, I'm going to build a car for Instagram or something like that.
And it's just not organic.
And I think, I think it's very easy to see some people that are like either trying to make something happen, and it's like a 15-minute thing and it just kind of dies, or and I'm not saying TGC has risen to any sort of high level or the top, but for me personally, it's just been great to hear people's take on it.
Yeah.
Buying a sticker, buying a shirt, whatever. It's been cool. It's just started as a group of friends, and now like what you guys have done,
it's super cool.
It's really rewarding. Yeah, people are into it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's crazy because people ask us all, or me personally, all the time, like, how did you guys get like so big or so well known? And I'm just like, we just did our thing. Like it was just it was. I mean, timing had a lot to do with it, but also like, just did our own thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
and it just,
I think that's the easiest way to do it.
If you're organic about it, it's just it'll just happen.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people, I myself included, don't know this about you, but you do music. Tell us about The Rising Sea.
The Rising Sea is a solo project of mine. I started in 2009. Seems like forever ago now.
I know that's when Can I Beat started.
Yeah,
Old.
So yeah, I've played music most of my life. I started playing guitar when I was in middle school. No one else in my family at that time played any instruments. My parents can both sing, and
oh wow, can you sing? You could sing, yeah.
I sing, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Most of all my friends in like the automotive community like don't really know that. Like you said, you didn't either. But so I grew up playing music. Although my father was always into cars, and we always had cars around and whatever.
Yeah.
I'd say music was the first like real passion for me. So.
That came before the cars, yeah?
For the most part. I was born in a garage, basically. My dad was always wrenching on stuff. But as far as my first venture on my own, it was music. So The Rising Sea is the latest project that I've started, and it's been a solo venture. And basically because of time and my obligations elsewhere, the solo project was the best place that music could rest for me because it got attention when I could give it attention. So I've been working on an album, since 2009 now, and I've put out some demos on SoundCloud. That's easy enough, soundcloud.com/The Rising Sea. That's another plug for that. But
love the plugs.
It's all like unfinished demos, basically. So I've slowly been putting out stuff, but you're your own worst critic half the time. I look at stuff and I'm like, nah, I don't want to finish that. I'll redo it. So I just keep posting like unfinished demos or something. Sooner or later, I'm going to press an album and I'll get it done. I think this winter, I keep blowing smoke because every winter I say this winter I'm going to hibernate and finish something. I think I'm going to work on it pretty hard this winter.
Isn't it crazy that with any sort of art, whether it's making like laser engraving like you, or like design like I do, or music, like anything, we are our own worst critics.
Absolutely.
We notice everything, and people will be like, that's so tight, man, that's awesome, like I love what you're doing. And then with cars too, you're like, oh
yeah. But I think because of that, after some time of like almost realizing that, I've been able to take a step back and almost put myself in someone else's shoes, and not to take a step back and then not follow through with something, but to almost say, you know what, I think I'm being a little bit too like concerned about how this is going to come out, or a little bit too detailed, or micromanaging myself in a way. So with
tough,
music,
man.
I had to learn that with music because I'd never finish anything. So the more I listened to a song, then I started mixing it or something, and it was always like, no, delete, Control Z, whatever. And yeah, I think it helped me step back and say, you know what, I think that's good enough or something. So I tried to use the glass half full kind of mentality about that.
I've never really, I mean, I've never made music. I'm not a musician, but I can only imagine that like once a song is done, it's done. It's out there.
It's crazy because I almost feel the opposite way. Because when it's done, especially if you've been in the studio for a while and you get the thing done and it's all mastered and you're excited, you're stoked on your product, but the more I'd listen to it in the car or something, I'm like, oh, we should have done that, or we should have like transitioned this way or something. But I think that's cool because how many bands do you know that came out with like, or you saw them live and they played one of your favorite songs like a different way, and you're like, oh, everybody
my God,
freaks out, and they're like, you've never heard it that way. So,
yeah, they'll like drag out an intro or like have a different outro or something,
or use the name of the city they're in,
right?
Or whatever. Yeah,
they replace a word in the song or something. It's so cool.
Yeah, so. Yeah, when it's pressed, it's like almost in stone in that sense, I guess. But yeah, you can always go back and critique stuff, and I think it's a moldable thing for sure.
So when you come out with this album, are you gonna do like a physical copy, or is it just gonna be all digital?
I don't want to say I'm an old soul, but I just really, really love to do something on vinyl. Certainly on CD, but vinyl would be fun. Maybe with a friend's band, do a split EP or something like that. Something simple.
Like on a 7-inch or a 10-inch.
And with the Rising Sea, I've always been into like themed albums and stuff. So I think this next EP, it's kind of nautically based. It's like a theme. So the whole thing almost has like each album I do with the Rising Sea is gonna like almost correlate to the one previous.
Gotcha.
So the whole.
It's like one long
The whole project
story.
Is a theme project,
Cool, man.
So I'm excited about it.
So tell us about your studio, your music studio.
It's pretty simple. It's nothing too professional, but it's enough for me to pre-pro a lot of stuff, to write, to record, to lay stuff down. I'm not sure if it'd be something. I'd probably put out like a vinyl EP with what I have at my disposal in my studio, I guess.
But you would obviously outsource the press to vinyl.
I probably would.
The recording wise,
absolutely. Yeah. But it's like I said, it's nothing too professional, but it's enough to where I've learned to use what I have to the best of my ability and put out something that's, I don't know, sounds all right, I guess.
Yeah.
Even though I'm my own worst critic, sometimes I'll get something done and I'm like, yeah, that's good enough, I guess. That feels good.
But yeah, man, I'm totally with you on the making a physical copy. I feel like that just has a lot more meaning.
You have to.
I'm a big vinyl collector, as I'm sure everybody who follows me knows, and I have to have something physical.
Who made your record dividers?
Dude, those are so cool.
Yeah,
oh
thanks,
my god,
man.
that was amazing.
That was your idea though, so I'm glad we could make something happen.
Dude, I hope you like make that for someone else, because like I look at them all the time and I'm just like, every record collector needs these. So for anybody who doesn't know, John made me these really cool record dividers, and they have these really cool tabs, and obviously like A to B, C or whatever,
order,
and it just like gradually goes down until it's at the bottom, and it's just because before I was like flipping through my records and I'm just like, where am I again?
So when you're looking for your Have Heart album, you can go to H. Yeah, see, another plug.
G, Guns Up.
Yeah.
All right, man. So you've been doing a handful of car show trophies, including First Class Fitment. Tomorrow trophies. Thank you again.
Yeah,
what are other car shows that you have collaborated with, or car companies as well?
As far as the trophies are concerned, this is the second year I've had the opportunity to work with you guys and do some of the smaller awards for First Class Fitment. I've worked with Jay and Carlos from Players in England and been able to travel there for a few summers. One year, I've helped them make the awards in collaboration with Airlift.
Yeah.
They give out an airbag, and I made like a laser engraved wooden topper with their logo and stuff. So that was really cool because the whole vibe of that show is just incredible, because they hold it at Goodwood at the Motor Circuit. That's a historically significant racetrack.
Dude, that is like the show.
So it really is. I mean, being an automotive enthusiast through and through, just being at that racetrack and at that venue was just a massive bucket list for me.
How many years have you gone?
3 years now.
3 years. Okay.
Yeah, 3 years.
Cool. So they like fly you out and you go out there?
No, I mean it's all on my accord.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Yeah, but it's been great to just at least work with them in any way, basically, to be involved in the show and not just be there.
Dude, so many awesome cars go to that show.
It's a great show. Yeah.
That is like the show that I would go to if I went to like
totally
Europe.
worth it.
Yeah,
totally worth it. And a few other ones here in the country have been have been Euro built, which my friend Scott puts on.
Okay.
That's in Vermont. I made some awards for that show this year. I know there's a few more, and on the spot.
You've done stuff for like Rotiform, yeah? Like
some weather key rings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I made some weather key rings for Jason and Brian and those guys.
Cool dudes.
And another plug for Rotiform. It's been great. I mean, it's honestly, I've only been doing this for a year and a half now, and it's
I was just
already
gonna ask
like
how
hard
long,
to think
right?
about the people I've worked with, and I should have had a list drawn out, but it's been great working with so many great people from all walks of life and all different corners of the globe, basically. I made some review mirror hangers for a show called Wreck and Meet, and I hope somebody in Japan watches this. Wreck and Meet. We made some like review mirror hanger awards for their car club and stuff, and that was really cool because I'm all about like the Japanese scene over there too. So it's really cool to be involved.
So many different car scenes around the world. It's super cool.
Yeah, and the internet is it's all helped bring all that together.
Yeah, so man, super cool.
Yeah.
So speaking of car show trophies, H2O, you did a couple. I mean, obviously, as we all know, the show didn't happen this year, so you took matters into your own hands and did your own trophies. Tell us about that.
So my good friend Robert Olferhauser from Loof Technic, which is a Porsche parts and service shop in Richmond, Virginia, him and I had been talking for the last few years of doing some sort of like unofficial strip award or Strip King award. Everybody like cruises the strip. It's clear now at this point that there's a lot of people that show up in Ocean City that don't attend H2O, the Volkswagen Audi specific show.
The outcasts.
Exactly. And everybody's got their own opinion about that. I mean, I really just enjoy going down there, seeing friends, eating seafood, cruising the strip. I've been down there in Volkswagens. I've been down there in other European cars, Mercedes, BMWs, my Chevrolet, the Corvair. I've had that down there. So I'm not brand loyal to one or the other, but we always talked about doing like a Strip King award, and we never made it happen. And after the official show was canceled, within a couple weeks of the dates, Robert called me and said, "This is the year we got to do it because there's no actual show.
Yeah, it just
These
makes
people
sense.
Still going. There's people that are bummed out that are canceling their condos. What can we do?" And I said, "Let's whip something up."
Man, anyone who canceled their condos, man, like they missed out. That was fun.
It was a good year.
I had
no rain.
Blast,
it was
man.
a good year. I mean, a lot of people. There's a lot of stuff floating around the internet. A lot of the people of Ocean City are complaining, and they say it was the worst yet. But
I honestly thought it was not that. Being
on the ground level, I mean, it's. And getting along with local law enforcement and stuff and not being that tension or adding to that tension. We've always had such a good time down there. And we've always had a good time talking to local business owners and the local law enforcement.
I can only imagine that the businesses get so much money.
They do. And they'll argue that like the cruising weeks and the bike weeks and stuff bring more. And maybe they do. But at that point in the year, having 30 or 40,000 people show up to your town.
It's better than when it's dead.
Yeah, so with the awards, we really just we didn't want to take any sort of some like limelight for that. We almost just wanted to like recognize the people that come down to hang out with friends and bring their cars.
Yeah,
to bring their cars. I mean, I drove my 1981 BMW 13 hours there for no legitimate show. Right. So and the support that we got, the outweighing support of everybody saying, "Hey, it's great that what you guys did." It made it all worth it. I mean, being able to, we were basically giving trophies to people on the side of the street, saying, "Hey, you've got the best Porsche here," or whatever, and so people seemed to like really kind of. It was like a fun grassroots kind of feel to it. It was all like Instagram based, and
that's awesome. Yeah, what categories did you guys have?
I won't remember them all off the top of my head, but we did like 12.
Oh wow!
It was like
so it was a handful.
I made all the awards
they came out good.
Thank you. It was up until like the last day before we left. We were putting them all together, and I think we did best Volkswagen, Audi, BMW, Porsche, American, best bucket, best engine,
and did you guys have like a JDM?
Best JDM.
Yeah. Okay. VIP maybe, I don't know.
It was JDM, and it was then I think Strip King.
Oh, okay.
And then so we did like some basics. We wanted to.
Was there like a female one too?
Yeah, best lady owned.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We didn't want to exclude the ladies. We know plenty.
Yeah, because I remember you made a post about the winner for that one or something.
Kelly. Her name's Kelly. Yeah. Kelly STI, I think is her Instagram.
Okay,
handle.
cool.
Plug there. So she had a really cool bagged Subaru Umbratas and at first we didn't want to just give the award out to just any like the first girl we saw that was driving.
Right.
A
you
car.
just had to like like, monitor and
Yeah, and
scope everything
we
out.
saw her getting into the driver's seat of her car at one of the parking lot meets, and I just kind of approached her and just kind of told her what we were doing and just kind of wanted to talk about her car a little bit. And the more we talked to her, the more we realized she knew just as much, if not more, about cars than we did.
Right.
And was just, you could tell she was a genuine enthusiast.
Yeah.
So it made it more rewarding.
So it's
to
very
give
well
that to her.
deserving.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
so it was
awesome.
fun, and it got us in touch with people that we normally probably wouldn't have ever
Yeah.
talked to. So being at the ground floor, at the ground level, we were like there with the people.
That's awesome.
You know,
man.
and
That's what it's all about.
a lot of people felt abandoned because of the whole cancellation and stuff, and to leave that whole thing aside, we just wanted to be involved with everybody that was still coming. So it was good.
Man.
It was good.
Yeah, it was a great weekend.
Yeah.
I had a blast.
Yeah, worth it.
What number H2O was that for you? Or when did you start going?
2009.
Okay. Yeah, we started
6 years,
going
7 years.
We started going the year after 2010.
Yeah, 7 years, I guess, from now. Yeah,
It's crazy, man.
always worth it.
I always tell everyone, man, like if you haven't done an H2O, like I feel
You got to do
bad
it
for you.
It's getting crazier, that's
Yeah.
for sure, but it's worth it.
And it's
good
crazy
time.
that a lot of people on the West Coast do not know about H2O.
I got a couple guys from the Pacific Northwest will come out. A lot of guys from England.
Yeah.
Victor from Russia. What's up, Victor? We'll get him on watch this. Victor flew all the way from Russia, from Moscow.
What did he think?
We gave him farthest traveled.
Oh, yeah?
'Cause I think that one was easy.
What did he think though? Did he tell
Oh,
you
he
what
loves
thought?
it. Yeah, he loves it. Yeah, I mean, he drives his RS6 Avant like all over Europe. He drives it to England from Moscow. So that dude's
That is
a
super
traveler.
cool.
So it's just so cool. I mean, there was no official show, and these people are flying from Russia
know, right?
over. You know, I mean, what an opportunity to meet so many people down
And
there.
there seriously isn't anything like it.
It's right. Yeah, absolutely. I completely
I mean,
agree.
someone can argue that Solo was like that, but you couldn't really strip down.
It's totally different, though.
You
I
couldn't
mean,
strip down. You couldn't ride down the strip. You couldn't cruise at all.
I mean, and that's. I mean, I'd say in that sense, Ocean City's.
yeah,
more
you're near a
open,
beach. The vibes are cool. Solo is awesome. Not describing.
I did
Solo.
I did 3 solos and had a chance to talk to Matt Bounds and some more of the people that were involved with that show, and it's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
You're in this tight little town in the
And
middle
it's
of the mountains.
super cool, but it's
amazing.
Everyone used to always compare the two, and
It was just so tough for
Didn't
me
see
to
it.
make any more because I mean I drove my Corvair there, and that's a 1965 car.
Dude, how far was that?
That was about
drive?
30 hours. Yeah, and I drove by myself in that car. That was his first time back on the road in 40 years. So it's like I've got
wait, one way or
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I didn't go straight as the crow flies. I went out to Nashville, Tennessee first. I kind of went a roundabout way. But
okay. Did you do Tail the Dragon on the way? Or?
I didn't. No,
You didn't? Okay.
no, I didn't even dare take that car down that road. I probably wouldn't have
That
come
is
back.
crazy, man.
But so I have an intimate relationship with Solo, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
I drove a few different cars that far, and it's just I wish I could go every year that they were holding it, but it is just so far from New
Yeah.
Hampshire. I'm up in New Hampshire, so that's at least a 20-hour drive in a normal car.
Yeah.
And Solo was a totally different animal, but almost met its demise in one way or another because of what's happening at
Yeah.
H2O. Just a lot
Yeah.
of riffraff, and the local government just couldn't really put up with it. So
Unfortunately for me, I only did one solo, but I had a blast.
at least you got one done.
Yeah, it was
at least you got
literally
one
the
done,
last one.
Yeah, it was good.
It was sad.
Yeah, it's too bad.
I know, man. Super cool. So, I know you said you don't have. Oh, actually, first of all, before we get into more about the laser stuff, since we're on the category of H2O, you also did keychains, right? You were selling keychains. Tell us about
at
that.
H2O.
Yeah.
So we've done some Governors Club meets each year at H2O for the last few years now, and since I've started the laser engraving business, I've done a year-specific keyring for our TGC meet. So last year we did some wooden ones with the year 2016 on them and stuff, and people seem to love them. And so for this year, I wanted to kind of keep following suit with that,
Yeah.
and we did some 2017 ones, and they were a double-sided leather,
That's super
genuine
cool.
leather keyring, and I made 100 of them and thought it was overkill. I shut my shop down for a day to make these things, and I promoted them before we left for H2O, but once we got down in Ocean City on that Wednesday,
Yeah.
I didn't post another thing about them, and they were gone by Thursday.
Wow.
And so I started a pre-order by Friday, and there was over 100 pre-ordered by the end of the weekend. So I realized that I probably should have just manned up and made a few hundred of those things. So
Wow.
it was great.
That's awesome, man.
overwhelming support for what we were doing.
Yeah, they turned out really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
they
was
turned out
good.
really good.
Good time.
So how do you get? I know you said you don't have a design background, but where do you get your inspiration for new items or even the shapes of your keychains and all that stuff? Because I took the time to look at your. I mean, I'm always looking at your Instagram because I follow you, but I always see that all the stuff you're doing, and I'm just like, wow, man, where does all your inspiration come from?
I don't think I can take too much credit for all of it because a lot of the stuff that I commission make is other people's designs.
Right.
And basically what I do is I critique it
But
to the
but you're
medium.
like pumping out stuff for like the Governor's Club. That's that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like when you make stuff for like the Governor's Club, you're sort of trying out something new.
Usually I am.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where I kind of
it'll be like a new medium
that.
or something or a new material and I don't know where that inspiration comes from. I do a lot of like poking around on the internet, a lot of Etsy stuff. I don't have an Etsy store, but a lot of people make really cool stuff on Etsy. I'll float around there just to kind of gain inspiration for different stuff because not having a formal graphic design background, I almost need that that visual to kind of help get the ball rolling.
Yeah,
kind of
Pinterest is also really cool for
absolutely.
that, or you know, like Dribble or any of those cool sites like that.
Yeah, it helps for sure.
I mean, I feel like with any art you do, you always have to just like dive in and get in that mode and inspire yourself and just kind of get, you know, in that mindset of what you want to do.
It's easy to have something up here, and then once you get it something tangible, written out, drawn out on the computer, it's easy to see stuff take, you know, or come to fruition in one way or another.
Yeah.
So yeah, it helps to just at least just get going on something.
Yeah. So cars, man. Tell us how you first got into them.
My father, that one's easy. He's always been a GM, a General Motors muscle car guy. So I grew up always around like a late 60s Camaro or a late 60s Chevelle A-body cars. He collected early C1 and C2 Corvettes before I was born and stuff. So I was always around like GM stuff. And although that was the first taste of automotive like passion that I was kind of exposed to, he raced he circle track raced a Volkswagen Rabbit, a Mark I Rabbit when I was a kid, and that was the other half of like the automotive like building blocks of my childhood. And then when I became a teenager and got my license and was ready to buy my first car, the Volkswagen Rabbit was way more affordable than the SSRS Camaro or something like that. And that correlated with the European car community. You know, everybody that was driving a Rabbit was waving to each other, and it's like wow, this is like part of like a cool little like unknown club kind of thing. So that's what kind of got me started in the European car end of things. So that's kind of where it started. My dad just working on cars. He owned an automotive business, and he was the enabler for sure.
Oh
and,
wow!
And that's who I currently work on all my projects with. So we work out of his hobby shop, and it's nothing professional or business, I should say. It's not like it's something that we do for other people, but it's been great to grow up and build cars with my dad. It's great.
Awesome, man.
It's
and
awesome.
you said your dad's like semi-retired now. I remember you were talking
I call
about
it semi-retired. Yeah, he'll call it semi-retired. He ran his own business for years. He ran a towing company for like 35, 40 years as well. And always in motion, just can't stop or slow down. So even though he's kind of retired from that end of his life, he's recently, you know, been kind of developing properties and just kind of trying to stay busy. And nothing major, but just stuff up in my small town in New Hampshire, you know, and invested in a 4x8 foot CNC plasma cutter and stuff. So he's been doing some fabrication work on the side, but that's stuff he really enjoys doing. So it's kind of like retirement, but you get paid for it. Yeah. Isn't that the dream?
Yeah, I know, right?
That's what I'm working for right now, and I'm only 32.
And you would say you get like your work ethic and a lot of stuff from your dad.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. My family's definitely a family of hard workers for sure. You know,
and early risers.
That's it. Early risers. A little bit of coffee doesn't hurt anybody. Take your vitamins.
So your cars, man, the Corvair and the 735. Tell us about them.
Long story short, because I'm sure they could be long stories. Both cars were kind of forgotten when I found them. They kind of had past their prime, I guess you could say. They'd been sitting for a while and kind of left for dead. They were both on Craigslist. The Corvair had sat for over 40 years in one spot, so that one was long dead and was headed to the scrapyard, and we basically saved it and did what we did with it. And the 735 was owned by the Consul General of Turkey, and that was a diplomatic car, and it's a British market car. He bought it in Southampton at Southampton BMW in 1981 and had a house in Montreal. So when he retired, he shipped the car back to Montreal, and then they got their citizenship, moved into Vermont. That's how the car followed him here. And it ultimately was on Craigslist from the second owner, and that's who I bought that off of. And so, both those cars are two totally different ends of the spectrum as far as the automotive spectrum is concerned. One's a rusty American relic, and the other is kind of like a nice paint, European car. But I got a few other projects on the burner right now that have kind of been stressing me out lately. But we're working on a 1952 Chevrolet cab over, like a full-blown road tractor.
You and your dad, or
my father and I? Yeah, this is one of my projects, but couldn't be possible without his work.
That's
and
awesome.
His help for sure. But that rig is going to haul my Corvair. It's like a long wheelbase dually. We've got that bag.
You're gonna take it to shows and stuff.
Oh yeah, we've got a 12-valve Cummins turbo diesel in it, and airlift performance is we're doing airlift performance in all the cars on that. So the Corvair is going to ride on the back of it. It's going to be a hauler.
Oh, cool.
And on the other side, this winter we're diving into a 1960 BMW 700 that I just bought.
Oh,
and it's a pretty rare car. It's a German imported
super
car.
rare, yeah.
And we've got a lot of really cool stuff on the table for that car. I haven't told too many people. I've kind of posted a few teasers that we've got the car, but I think we're going to put it over a Beetle pan. We're going to bag it. We're going to do some
Where did you find it?
That was in the woods. I think that one technically had been in the woods for almost 50 years.
Wow.
I mean, it's pretty
Internet
insane.
find, yeah?
No, that was just a local guy near me that has a bunch of BMWs out behind his house, and I never knew he had two 700s, and we were able to get both of them out of there.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was like an incredible find, almost like sends goosebumps, down your skin basically when you find something like that sitting. There's trees growing in it, and it's like, we can save that. He looks at us like we've got two heads, and he's like, yeah. So anyway, so that's what's on the burner right now.
That's super cool.
So as far as I'm concerned, the 735 and the Corvair are kind of done. I just drive them, they're done, and we're gonna work on these other cars too.
That's super cool. So I know you've had in your previous builds, you've had some creative air ride controllers. Tell us about some of the ones you've had and your inspirations, and what are you currently running now?
I think the first car I did on air suspension was my 1960 Mercedes, that Fintail, and I hid the air ride controls in a 1942 Argus 35mm camera. And the whole idea behind that was to kind of have something period correct in the car that operated the air suspension, so it wasn't like a digital controller or something like that. Something that
we just throw it all off.
That's it. Yeah. So that was the overall idea of that. And then I did a 1985 Mercedes 190 on air suspension and hid the controls in a 1970s-ish kind of period correct AGFA camera. So kind of followed the same idea with that car. And then with the BMW, I'd always wanted to do a flagship car with a car phone as the air ride controller.
Oh, wow.
And the right car never came along, and then this car came along with diplomatic history, and I'm like, this is the one.
Has to be
so we put the air ride controls in a proper 1980s car phone.
That's super cool.
So that was pretty fun.
Was that a challenge at all, or were you just like, I got this?
It was a challenge. My friend Mo Collins at Mobile Electronics Solutions is another plug for you. He was instrumental in helping me get all of the new circuit boards and wiring inside the phone all sorted, because we kept the factory leader cord off the phone, so everything looked factory inside the car.
Wow.
So although I have done some wiring and soldering and all that sort of stuff, he was really good at that's just his job. He's into that stuff every day.
Yeah.
And so he was instrumental in helping me get that thing sorted. We illuminated it red to match the red cabin illumination and stuff, and tried to be as detailed as possible.
Yeah.
So that was a fun.
Yeah,
fun
dude,
project.
I saw that and I was like, wow, that is so cool.
I'm sure maybe other people have done it before, but it's something I wanted to do for the last, 8 years or so, and finally the right car fell in my lap, and I said, this is the one.
That's super cool.
It was fun.
So, obviously, you like to gravitate towards older cars. Do you ever see yourself building something super new, or is that just not your thing?
Boy, I don't know. I think I know myself too well, and the amount of car ADD, I guess you could call it, that I have.
Yeah.
And I think if I had a new car and I was locked into a payment or something like that, I'd feel trapped.
Yeah.
And I think after a few months or maybe a few years, whatever, I'd get nervous about being locked into this car for however many more years I had to pay it off for. So
yeah, and they depreciate so
I love
fast.
new cars. I really do. I love seeing at SEMA, there's the first guys that have body dropped the new Chevy Duramax or something. It's that's awesome. But it's a $90,000 truck, and it's so I see new stuff as it's awesome to see other people chart that or brave that uncharted territory.
Yeah.
For me, I think the old stuff is within my budget. It's cheaper to buy, takes a little bit more
and they
work.
Just have more
going.
character.
I think so. Yeah, I think they have. I don't know. I don't want to say more presence than a new car, because each car speaks for itself in one way or another. But I think the old stuff, it's almost cool to preserve them in a way.
Yeah.
Where somebody has kind of
saving
like
them.
given up on them.
Yeah.
And you kind of,
and there's trees growing out of it.
Sometimes that's a little more. I think I bit off a little more than I could chew on some parts, but we'll see. But yeah, so maybe not a new car.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind dailying one because it's more than likely going to start on that -0 degree.
Dude, it gets cold up there.
We're in New Hampshire. Yeah, it's pretty cold up there. And what is it? Mid-October now. It's almost over. There's going to be snow on the ground soon. We're going to be shoveling
insane.
snow. Yeah. I try to travel as far south and as far west as I can in the winters. Try to migrate.
What's it like living there? I've never been there, so I mean, what's it like?
It's great. I mean, it really is. Like, we complain about the cold. We complain about the warm. We complain about, I mean, we're New Englanders. We kind of complain about everything. But all in all, we see what's happening around not just the country, but the world right now. I mean, the hurricanes, the earthquakes, the fires in California,
it's
the
like
tornadoes in the Midwest.
Someone's playing like Jumanji or something.
It's crazy. So in New Hampshire, man, we're like sheltered from all that crazy stuff. We don't have earthquakes or tornadoes or hurricanes. We don't have like massive forest fires. I mean, all that stuff is capable of happening in New Hampshire,
right.
But for the most part, I have to remind myself that, and it's too bad that sometimes it's out of tragedy somewhere else where you have to like really kind of put it into perspective. But yeah, I'll be pissed when I'm shoveling a bunch of snow. Sorry, Mom and Dad, for that drop if you guys are listening to this. But to be shoveling snow all winter long. But it's really, I love being close to family.
Yeah.
My grandparents live close by. My parents are close by.
That's
I'll put up with
awesome.
the snow to be where I am
Yeah.
in a safe environment near family. I like that. Yeah. I think as I've been getting older, I've been migrating back home a little bit more, even mentally. So
yeah, man, I live like 30 minutes away from my parents, and I feel like that's so far.
Yeah, right.
I feel like I'm like, man, I wish
I
I
can
was
walk
closer.
to my parents' house from my house, just up the street.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you say that about where you live. Like, you guys don't get like bad stuff. I feel like it's like that where I live too, and like next to DC, like no earthquakes, nothing crazy.
Yeah, I think the East Coast, with the exception of like the far south and some of the hurricanes and stuff that we've
Florida.
been seeing lately. Yeah, it's but most of the East Coast is a basically moderate place to live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not gonna like float away like
Arizona Bay, like California.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, so I know we were just on the topic of cars, so I have to know, like, what's your dream car?
Man, that's like trying to ask you who your favorite band is. I mean, maybe that's an easy answer for you, but
no, that's a tough one.
Yeah, I couldn't answer that one either. As far as cars are concerned, I think I saw my dream car at Amelia Island this year in Florida.
Oh yeah,
in person. That was a real treat. And Mercedes.
You were there on vacation?
I went down for the concourse, the elegance, like the cars and coffee meet and all that stuff, and I went down with the Wolf Technic guys from Richmond, Virginia, and Mercedes brought out one of their W194 like gull wings, but one of like the first ones, like one of the first ones they actually designed. And I mean, I've heard crazy rumors that it's like insured for over $100 million or whatever, and it's like right there with no ropes around it, and like,
someone could just go up there and just like.
Well, they had the doors open. I leaned in and I had to grab the steering wheel. I was like, "This is crazy."
Like,
I have that tangible connection with that car, but those are unobtainable cars. So I think as far as a dream car, more down to earth in reality. I feel like I'm driving a few of them.
Oh yeah,
I think I am.
The
yeah,
Corvair.
I drive the Corvair and the BMW, and I can't imagine like I get giddy thinking about driving that little 700 slammed on the ground and that 52 cab over. So I think I'm living it.
Yeah,
I like
man.
it. Yeah,
How do you decide which one you take to a show?
Whichever one isn't broken. That one's pretty easy.
Which one breaks more?
The Corvair is not running right now either. That needs to go in the shop too. It's like, the old stuff,
Yeah.
The old
Have you
stuff
taken the Corvair to a show this year?
Oh yeah. A few different shows around the Northeast. And
okay,
stuff.
but
and,
not like anything far.
Nothing too far this year. No, the actual last run I had with that car, I drove it down to Boston, which is like 2 hours, to the Necco Candy Factory, like the old rundown factory right in South Boston, or part of Boston. I don't know. Boston people are going to be mad at me if it's not in South Boston. Either way, to the Necco Candy Factory. And my friend Dan Crosley photographed it on film for Rusty's magazine, which is out of Europe.
Oh, cool.
And it's like 150-page coffee table style magazine, and they're putting it on the cover, which is pretty crazy.
Wow.
So they're doing a feature with the car. They're putting it on the cover, but Dan shot it in film, which I think is the coolest thing.
Super cool.
Not a lot of magazines are really willing to work with film.
Where did he shoot it? Like, location wise?
At the Necco Candy Factory.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah.
And I'm not sure if it's at South Boston or not, but it's in Boston.
Oh, okay.
And that was kind of the cool thing for the summer, I guess. Like, even though the car kind of barely made it home and it's been kind of sitting since, but yeah, not too many car shows this year, but notably was able to take it out of town and shoot it for a magazine. So
that's awesome.
Really eager to see that in print.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
What is it? Are they distributing like a lot of those, or?
I'm not sure if they're coming stateside, but I'm gonna try to get my hands on a stack.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Sure. Yeah,
that's
it's like
awesome.
a newer magazine that they're on their like second or third issue now.
Cool, man.
So yeah, pretty exciting.
Yeah, speaking of like traveling and shows and stuff, you're going to Simply Clean this year, right?
Oh boy, Nikolai, if you're listening to this, I hope so.
I was literally just thinking about this, and I might try to go.
I've gone the last 2 years, 3 years maybe. I flew down 1 or 2 years, and then last year my friend Frank and I trailered a couple of our cars down. And that's a long haul. It's about 30 hours from us with a trailer. You know,
I've never driven there. I've only flown there, and I think I've gone there 2 or 3 years in a row. But it's been a couple years.
Yeah,
we might go. I want to go.
We might go. Again. I mean, it's the last hurrah for the season.
Exactly.
Winter's right around the corner for us, and so it's kind of like the last dosage of like.
Yeah.
Car
Would you ever just fly just to go hang out, or do you?
I've done that a couple of years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I might do this year, possibly. So
that drive is brutal, man.
It is. Yeah.
For you.
Yeah.
Or me too.
Long and tedious.
Yeah.
For sure. But we'll see what happens. Maybe.
Yeah. I feel like nothing really going on in November. So.
Yeah. Just winter preparation for us.
Yeah, I know.
That's about it.
Man.
Yeah.
So, been told you once were a professional BMX rider. When and how old are you? And just tell us about that.
So BMX was another, I guess, childhood passion. I mean, what kid wasn't in his backyard jumping tires with his bicycle if they had the room to or whatever. But I was one of those kids jumping tires and jumping stuff. And how many tires can you line up? And that became like a late childhood dream of mine, was to like, not that I was aspiring to be a professional BMXer, but it was always like you'd watch the pros in the videos and like, wow, that's awesome. They get to do that for a living and it's crazy. And then for that to actually come true right outside of high school was just an incredible
that's
just
like
turn of
everyone's
events.
Dream, man.
And it was so crazy because it was such an organic thing that happened. And honestly, my first pro sponsorship was in late 2004, going into 2005.
Okay. And
it was a company called The Take, and they're made in-house in the USA here out of Binghamton, New York. And I was just traveling out to Binghamton to this iconic skate park that was out there, and we just go out with some friends and we just ride. And unbeknownst to us, the guys who ran the company were always at that skate park, and they saw us riding, and they notably saw me riding, and we just started a relationship as far as these guys out in New York, we like riding with them. And it was funny because they slowly started picking my brain about what I liked in frame geometry on my bike. And they're like, what do you like for like, and this and that. And I told them, well, I like a steep head tube and I like this and that, the other thing. Next thing I know, they post on their website that their new street frame was now done and the prototype was finished and they're sending it to my house.
Wow.
And it was like all like a secret. They like didn't tell me. They just like, I called them right away and I'm like, you didn't tell me you were going to be giving me this frame. And they're like, yeah, we wanted to see how often you check the website.
Wow.
Because if I never checked the website, like,
so that's
you guys
your,
not going to send it to me.
So that was your, like, you're sponsored now.
First pro sponsorship.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. And then from there, it was almost like anything else where you kind of get your foot in the door and now you're traveling, you're doing a lot of things. And so over the years, I rode for a few different companies. And it was from basically 2004 to like 2010, 2011, early 2011.
Okay.
And I just kind of slowly faded out of it. It was a dream come true. It was a wild ride. It was super fun. Wasn't a high-end pro rider. I didn't make like a ton of money or anything like that, but a dream come true nonetheless.
Yeah.
I would do it all over again. Got to meet some of the best people I've ever met. Got to travel and see places that I never thought I'd get to see. And it was super, super fun. It was. I'm paying the price for it now, physically, from different injuries.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, I got some teeth screwed into my skull.
Wow.
And separated shoulders, concussions, but really not so bad in comparison to some of the other guys I know. Some of the other boys, some boys put in wheelchairs, and it's crazy, so I'm grateful that I was able to live that for a little bit, and I still ride, but I was able to do that professionally and design a signature frame and a few other like signature products and stuff, and that was just culture shock. It was just so crazy because all the boys from the big city were the ones that were
and here or notably like from
from a small town. Yeah, so it was almost like the other guys were waiting their turn in line to like go pro or something. And this was before Instagram and all that sort of stuff. So it was like harder, I almost think. You almost had to travel to be exposed to other guys and stuff. So like I said, I still ride. I love riding. It's been
How
amazing.
often do you do it now?
I'd say on average maybe once a month. It's really not that much anymore, but
yeah, isn't it
life's
crazy?
been so busy lately
I know.
that it's
That's
just been hard to take the time
That's
to
how I
do
am
it.
with cycling. Like I
Yeah.
can only just go out maybe like, a couple times a month now at this point.
Yeah.
And I remember at one point in time just riding, like trying to ride like every day.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Like just life happens.
I realized how out of shape I've become. I'll ride for 15, 20 minutes and I'm sore for 3 days. You know, and I used to ride 8-10 hours a day, and not think twice about it.
It's like physical sports like that. You can like feel how old you are.
Well, that's why I said earlier in the conversation that like I stretch every morning now. It's like because I kind of have to. I've been beat up a little bit, so I
what's the worst injury you had with BMXing?
The longest lasting has probably been my shoulder separation because I still kind of deal with that now a little bit. I'm not in constant pain, but it's not as strong as my right shoulder and all that.
It just like dislocates, is what you're saying? Or?
It doesn't. No, it's not one of those deals. I separated my AC joint.
Oh, okay.
And it just hasn't quite gotten back to 100%. That's all. It doesn't give me grief every day, but if I sleep on it wrong or something, the next couple of days are pretty sore.
Suck, yeah.
But I think when I knocked my teeth out, that was pretty rugged too. That was in California.
How many of them do you know? Like, tell us about
ones.
that. Was it like a jump or a stair set?
The funny thing about this particular incident is we were in Los Angeles filming for a clothing company DVD. That clothing company that I was writing for. We're filming for like the team DVD or whatever. And it was our first day in California, and everybody that was there was clocking like good stuff. Every school we went to, every spot we went to, people were making stuff happen. Everything we were trying, we were getting it. And it was just a great day. And it was coming into that night. And it's one of those days where it's like you're going to finish your part in like one day of a 12-day trip. And we filmed this nose wheelie down this ledge or across this flat ledge. And I ultimately pulled it. It was kind of like this long line. It took me a while to get. And I finally landed it. We rewatched it. I wasn't too stoked on like the angle that we filmed it at. I said, well, let me do it one more time. And they're like, no, it looks fine.
You're like, no, let's do it one more time.
Well, I'm like, doing. I'm like, well, we got to get going. I'm like, 5 more tries. He's giving me 5 more tries. So 1, 2, 3, 4, no go. 5th try, last try of the night. You never say last try. You never say that. And so went over the bars. Hands kind of went to both sides. Put my face right under the ledge and just kind of bashed everything out. And the funny thing about this whole incident was it was just 2 teeth, but I didn't know how many. All I knew was that I had like nerve endings hanging out of my teeth, and it just like it was terrible to breathe.
Blood
and
everywhere and stuff.
Nose, lip, the whole deal. You're just kind of bleeding, and you don't know really from where. So we picked ourselves up and we headed back to the car. And I kid you not, we came around the corner and there was like this restaurant with like these like big windows down the front. You can like look right inside the window. Somebody had stopped to tie their shoe or something. We're all just sitting there, and I'm like holding this T-shirt over my face. I'm bleeding to death. And I look in the window, and Travis Barker is sitting right there looking right at me.
No way.
Yeah, I swear it was him, too. I know it was him. Yeah, so that was pretty funny.
That is crazy.
It's like the night I bashed my teeth out in L.A., I see Travis Barker. I thought that was pretty funny.
That's so crazy. So you were telling us about your first sponsor. What can you notably name any of the other sponsors you've had?
I'll do my best. It's been a while, but it was The Take, and they made frames. They're a frame company. Madeira BMX, which is a sub company of Profile BMX, and they're an in-house made component company out of St. Petersburg, Florida. So that's all USA made. They've got an in-house machine shop, Profile BMX and Madeira BMX. So it was like Profile was more or less like the started on the racing side of BMX, and Madeira started as like the street riding kind of style. Moved on to ride for a frame company called Versa, who I designed a signature frame with, but unfortunately that business was short-lived. The owner kind of made a few bad business decisions, and it kind of fizzled out. At which point I rode for Volume Bikes, which is owned by Brian Castillo, and he was one of my favorite riders growing up.
Oh, that must have been like a dream come
true. It really was. I don't think I ever got a chance to tell Brian that, but it was pretty crazy. I was just on the flow team. There was no money involved, but the fact that Brian himself came on the line and said, hey, we would really like you on the team and stuff, that meant a lot to me.
That's cool, man.
And then after that, my friend Chad DeGroot started a company called Deco, and he's an X Games gold medalist, like Flatlander, an icon in the scene. Same deal. Was one of my favorite riders. I'd become close with Chad over the last few years at that point, and he started his own business, and I wanted to support him, and so I ultimately left Volume with no hard feelings to help support Chad, and then a few different clothing companies here and there that were just kind of either friend owned or rider owned, small stuff here and there, but those were the notable like big companies that I rode for, and a dream, man. I mean, it was like I look back and it's, I've saved all the magazines and all the DVD parts. It's all like archived now, and it's cool to kind of
you
look back.
You got to remember that part of your life.
It's cool, man.
That's like epic.
It was a blessing for sure. Absolute blessing. Yeah, it was a good time.
When you guys were documenting it back then, did you do more videos or pictures or a little bit of both?
It was both, yeah.
Did you have like a go-to guy, or did it just depend on
Depended on the trip.
Yeah,
it depended on the trip. There was a few obviously iconic like photographers and videographers in the BMX scene, kind of like we have here in the car scene. Yeah. There's a few guys that you just know if you're going on a trip, you want so-and-so to come with you.
Yeah.
And so there was a handful of guys. But as any community, every year there were more and more kids getting into it or getting better at it. And so it seemed like more and more there were more kids that were really good at it.
It's so crazy how a lot of extreme sports or just anything in that like realm, as how quickly it progresses.
It's insane.
Like
now
you look at anything from like skating,
it's
BMXing, or even something like breakdancing or anything like that involves like super crazy physical talent like that has progressed so much.
That's why I feel like I'm most honored to have been a part of the professional BMX scene when I was, because it's just so insane now. There's young kids doing stuff that we didn't even think was physically possible. Man. And I feel like that was happening while I was riding too. It almost felt like every day there was like some new discovery of a trick that was only done in a video game previous to that. But watching what kids do today is just insane across all boards. I mean, I love watching skating. I watched more Rodney Mullen videos before I went to ride for inspiration than I did watch BMX videos.
Yeah.
So I always loved watching different extreme sports and the progression of each sport. And it's crazy to see a lot of the guys that I rode with professionally in the mid 2000s that are still doing it and are literally king. Like they are just like Chad Curley, Garrett Reynolds, guys like that are just, they were insane then, and it's crazy now.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
What style were you into? Did you do a lot of like vert stuff, or did you do street? Mainly
street and like park, I guess you could call it. Yeah,
but never like vert or anything like that.
Not really. No. I was never. I'd ride a vert ramp every now and then, but I was never. I was like 4 pegs, no brakes, that whole street style.
Yeah.
I think more notably, if anyone were to like remember any of the stuff that I used to do, was mostly like nose wheelie tricks.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like Rodney Mullen style stuff. So I think that's really transcended.
Like on flat ground, sort of.
On ledges and at skate parks and stuff, but mostly like nose wheelie
stuff.
That
Rodney Mullen and Daewon Song video is so
insanity,
epic.
Right? Yeah. So that's where I drew a lot of my like inspiration for BMX, and I know I'm not the only one. I know a lot of other guys that kind of watch skate videos to almost like transcend into a bicycle, which so that was.
And even like with skating, and as an example, even the videos have like progressed so much over the years.
And
like,
the quality and production.
Oh
and all that stuff.
Production.
It's wild.
And of course, like the moves and stuff like that, and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's all video game stuff now. It's crazy. Stuff that we were playing on Tony Hawk Pro Skater, like guys are doing for real now.
Triple kickflips.
It's wild. It's insanity. I can't even drop in on a skateboard.
That was my next question. Did you ever get into any other extreme sports like skating, surfing?
I used to snowboard. I mean, living in New Hampshire, we're buried in the snow. We have a lot of really good mountains near us. So, I snowboard, and I still do every now and then. I'm not too crazy. I'll jib around on like the boxes and the rails, but I don't hit any of the big jumps. I'm too smart for that because I know I'm going to break my neck or something. So,
dude, that's a wild sport.
But I never skateboarded. I skateboarded for like a week, and after trying to learn kickflips and landing on the back of my head enough times, I said, well, I know how to ride a bicycle already.
Yeah.
I already know how to ride it, so I think I've got one up on skateboarding. I think I'll stick with a bike, so that worked out.
When did you start riding, age-wise?
I was riding a bike and like jumping tires when I was like 13 or 14 maybe, maybe a little bit before that, but I remember it was almost a decision my friend Pat and I made. We were watching Blue Torch. Remember Blue Torch after school?
Yeah.
Surfing, skating, BMX. We were watching Blue Torch one day, and they were showing some like BMX videos, and we were literally like, we have these bikes. We have bikes with pegs on them. That's what these guys are doing.
This.
And we literally went out one day and like blocked up some stuff and tried hopping over stuff, and I think we were 15 at that point because I remember Pat was a day. He's a day younger than me, but he got his license before me for some reason, finished driver's ed first or something, and he had a truck. And it was all of a sudden this new world that opened up to us. It was like, let's go to a skate park in Massachusetts because now we had a car and we could go wherever we wanted. So it was like 15 to 16 is when I really started riding, which in today's terms is quite a late start because there's a lot of kids going to Woodward and all these extreme sports camps.
Did you ever go to Woodward?
Yeah, and luckily for me, the first few times when I first started going to Woodward was as a visiting pro. So it was really quite an experience to be able to go to Woodward, some place that I'd always dreamed of going when I was a kid, but we never really had the money to send me to.
What was that like in terms of you being like a visiting pro? Were you obligated to like have sessions where you taught kids stuff, or were you just there just to
it wasn't an obligation, and I know things may have changed since then, but this was between like 2007 and 2009. That's basically what they want you there for.
Yeah.
They pay you to be there. You get free room and board, free food.
Okay.
And you're at like the coolest facility in the world, So, but yeah, basically the reason for you being there, in my opinion, was to congregate with the kids and like hang out with them, be a positive influence on them, and teach them tricks. And there's probably plenty of guys that were just pro riders that were just looking to ride the ramps and stuff. But I thoroughly enjoyed hanging out with kids and
right?
Because
they're like looking up to you, and you're like,
I put myself in their shoes
take
because
advantage of the time.
I wanted to
teach
be
them.
at Woodward when I was 8 years old,
Right.
So it's like it was really cool to be there and just get to ride with kids all day that shared the same passion as me. And it was cool, man. That was really cool.
Yeah,
it was a good few years of my 20s. Yeah,
That's
I would
cool.
do it all again for sure.
Yeah. And you're saying you're like feeling it now?
I feel like I'm an old dad now. I'm not a dad, but it's like, I remember back when, let me tell you something. Yeah. So it's good. But it's good. I mean, I feel like it's you build these experiences and you go back on your life and be like, you know what, that was pretty fun. I don't do that anymore, but it was pretty fun.
Dude, that's definitely something you could just like tell someone. Like, hey, man, I used to be a pro.
Well, yeah, that sounds a little condescending, but like it's funny how it comes up in conversation. I mean, there's a lot of guys in the car scene.
Dude,
that
it's
are like,
funny. I had no idea, and I was like talking to Dave, and I was like, "Yo, what can I ask John?" And he was like, "Yo, talk to him about BMXing. He used to be a pro," and I was like,
"Crazy."
I had no idea.
It's funny because we were talking earlier in the car ride down here with my buddy Corey. Where it's like not even a lot of people knew that I played music, and
I had no idea.
They just listened to me like just ramble off, and they're like, "Nah, you don't sing," and then like. If they hear any of my like old music or something like that, they're like, "That's not you."
Yeah, I had no
like you.
Yeah, I had no idea, and then I was like, "Whoa, that's super cool."
Skeletons in the closet. But I mean, I have ADD, I guess. I mean, it was proven in school. I took the test. I had to draw the figure 8 and count which direction my hand was going. Left, right, left. Then the teacher would go switch, and you're like, right. Left, right. I did that. And they're like, Mr. and Mrs. Ludwick, your son has ADD. We suggest you put him on Riddle. And my parents are like,
hell no.
My mom's like, well, whatever will help. And my dad's like, we're not giving him any pills. He's made it this far. He's fine. Tell him to toughen up. So that was, I forgot what we were talking about because we're talking about ADD and now I'm thinking about ADD.
Dude, I'm the same way.
That's what we're talking about. Life. Yeah, life. Doing things. Life. That was easy.
Dude, I'm the same way.
So like for me, it's just got bored doing something.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, maybe I'll try to do something else. And I guess someone saying they're a jack of all trades, I think that's easier because I feel like I get so spread thin. It's like I'm mediocre at a few different things rather than just really good at one thing. So I work hard to try to be good at everything I do, but it's a constant battle.
Is there anything that you've always wanted to add to that arsenal of things that you've done or do, but you just haven't gone around to it?
Weird things like for a while when I was younger, it's like there was like weird things that I wanted to learn and to push myself to learn. And one was like to play the piano because I learned guitar at a young age, and then it's always hard to transition from one to the other at an older age. So I sat down and like taught myself how to play piano, to watch tutorials. I'd do this, I'd do that, to the point where some of my
shout out YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube plugs. So there was plenty of times where in some of my older recordings, some of my older songs or albums or whatever, I'd actually play piano and sing. And when I played live, sometimes I'd get to the point where I could play a song that I composed and sing and play the piano, and that was a massive achievement for me because I couldn't get my hands to do what they needed to do and sing and think about all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so, but there's a few other things that I'd love to like.
Dude, doing that whole multitasking thing can't be easy.
No, yeah, I mean, for some people it comes very.
I remember a lot of people back in the day.
We call those kids savants. Or prodigies. I don't think I adhere to any of those.
Dude, back in the day, a lot of people used to always tell me, like, because I was like really into pop punk at some point. They'd be like, "Oh, Blink-182, it's like I don't like it. It's too simple," or whatever. And I'd be like, "What they were doing is so hard."
Travis Barker. We got a second plug for that guy right now.
Man.
Like that guy.
Or just with like Tom and whatever we're doing, just like the singing and.
But man, Travis was just. I mean, because I played drums. I mean, I play drums too, and it's so crazy listening even to like their way older stuff. That stuff was just so crazy, so intense. Yeah, amazing.
Dude, it was like super fast, and they were like
Yeah.
singing at the same time, and it's like
yeah.
not so easy.
No, it's not. Not when you try it.
So are there things you've like wanted to add to your arsenal of many things you do?
Well, I mean, not that it's a taboo subject, but growing up in New Hampshire, we're always around guns and firearms and stuff like that. So
cool.
I was always shooting skeet as a kid. I love.
I've done that one time, and it was so fun.
It's so much fun. It really is. And
it's hard.
My grandfather would be the first to tell anyone, like, you used to be quite a shot when you were a kid. I'd go up to my grandparents' house on the weekends and go through thousands of rounds of ammunition on the weekend, just target practice.
Yeah.
Just being like, I wanted to be a marksman when I grew up, and just a competition shooter or something. And I think shooting skeet, clay pigeons, is like some of the most fun ever. I mean, it's just
like
so
I
much
said,
fun.
I've done it one time, and it was during a camping trip with some of my old coworkers, and it's fun, man.
Yeah,
It's a challenge for sure.
Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah.
And there's something about shooting outside that I enjoy way more than being inside.
I mean, especially if it's a nice day, you
Yeah.
get some good friends, and it's good fun. It really is. It really is good fun. And I've got a few old shotguns that my grandfather has passed down to me. The guns that I learned to shoot on and stuff. So it's really cool. It's all very very sentimental to me for sure. So that's fun. And really, I mean, as far as like talents and stuff that I want to acquire, there's not too much more. I mean, I think you and I were talking about it a little bit earlier as far as like the dream, like what the dream job may be.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm kind of there now. Like I love the laser engraving stuff, but I think the dream for me would be to write movie scores, to write movie soundtracks. Hans Zimmer, massive plug right now. Hans Zimmer, like that guy is just an incredible composer. Movies like Interstellar, Dunkirk, Inception. He's done the soundtracks to all these like massive cinematic films, and that's what I want to do. And sitting here telling you that is like lighting the fire under me. It's like I gotta go home and start writing again. I gotta get back into this. I never take the time. It feels like there's not enough hours in the day to sit down.
That's gotta be like
studio.
the most enjoyable job, like making music wise. You just sit down, you put a film on, and just.
It's like, I mean, I kind of write like that already. I'll get in the studio, I'll shut the lights off, or put them pretty dim, and put a visually compelling film on mute, and just start playing piano, guitar, whatever. Get some sounds going and just kind of build. I mean, that would be the ultimate dream. Sit in a studio with a giant projector with the post-production film playing and a cup of coffee, and so we're gonna work on that. We're gonna have another interview.
What's been your favorite soundtrack, notably like recently?
Interstellar.
Period. That movie was fantastic.
Period. Like that film. Yeah, I don't even know. We could talk hours about that film, but that film. Dan Crosley, my buddy Dan Crosley, he texted me after he went and saw it opening night. Did you see Interstellar yet? I'm like, no, I haven't. You got to go see it. He saw it himself in theaters like 4 times. He's like, you got to go do it. So I finally went and saw it by myself in the theater. And I texted him. I'm like, dude, it's insane. He goes, I cried. And I said, I cried too. The music, the compelling visuals, the whole storyline. Yeah, it's good. So the more I talk about it now, the more it's like, yeah,
dude,
we're gonna shift.
Leonardo's been in like any bad movies ever.
Well, Interstellar. Or were we talking about Inception?
Inception. That's what we were talking about.
If I said Inception, I meant Interstellar. Lately.
Okay.
Interstellar is the one lately. Matthew McConaughey.
Right, gotcha.
But both Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
Both Christopher Nolan. But different cast. But yeah, I mean, both films were just incredible. Absolutely incredible. But so I think that's it for me. Yeah.
Dude, I don't know if you've heard it, but I really like the soundtrack for. I mean, it's not a movie, but Westworld, the HBO show, is so fantastic.
I haven't seen it. Yeah,
it's fantastic.
I'll have to check it out.
I got it on vinyl. It's just fantastic.
Well, things like Stranger Things.
Oh yeah,
Like the soundtracks
on
are just so so rad. It's so cool that like so many of these new shows or movies are so score driven.
Yeah.
And as a musician or as a songwriter or composer, whatever you want to call like what I enjoy doing, it's so cool to see that that's getting the acknowledgement.
Yeah.
I guess, that it's a lot of people are like Stranger Things is totally retro, like music driven.
Dude, it's so crazy how on the topic of, since you said Stranger Things, how much TV shows have stepped it up in the last couple of years.
Netflix has a lot to do with that too, and all the people trying to compete with Netflix.
Yeah, HBO
and Hulu and all that.
I see all these TV shows, and I'm like, this could be a movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a film.
Yeah,
the production, the music.
AMC, Breaking Bad and The Walking Dead and all that stuff.
I'm watching Breaking Bad right now, actually.
Oh man,
so I'm super late.
It's good.
Late past.
It makes you want to go buy a Pontiac Aztec.
Dude, that show is really badass.
It's good.
I am
Yeah, it's
on
good.
season like 3 right now,
Yeah.
and it's long overdue. Everyone's been like, watch the show,
Hey,
watch
it's
the show,
fine.
watch the
You
show.
watch it in stride. Watch it patiently. You know,
know.
don't binge watch it.
Right?
Like watch a season,
Yeah.
an episode a night,
Yep.
so you can you're taking it in.
I've watched a lot of shows really late.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Like
That's cool though,
Yeah.
because you have the opportunity to like watch every episode. You don't have
Yeah.
to wait for the next week and then have commercials interrupting you and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's
Because this year I watched like The Sopranos, super old.
Yeah.
What was the one about the biker gang? I'm blanking.
Sons of Anarchy.
So, yes.
I don't know.
I'm blanking. Yes.
I'm one of those guys that don't really get into that.
Blanking
Yeah.
on the name right now. But yeah, it's like I've seen so many shows like super late.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
mean, it's better than not watching them
You can
at all.
streamline it though, which is good.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I can't imagine like. I mean, I bet you a bunch of people are like, "Man, he waited so long to watch that." But hey,
It's cool though. It's cool to wait. It's cool to wait.
it's cool.
Yeah.
So I totally forgot to ask you when we were on the topic of BMX riding, but I remember you mentioned early or before that you did an interview with ESPN.
It was an EXPN
Oh,
interview,
okay.
and actually, a buddy of mine, Brian Tunney, who was also a pretty iconic flatland rider, had contacted me. And actually, you know what? It's kind of funny. We've both been talking about this already, but Brian Tunney actually had found out that I played music, and he was kind of into the same style of music that I was writing, and I didn't really know this. And I knew Brian as like a professional BMXer, and he had actually contacted me and asked me if I wanted to do like this 10 questions or 21 questions or something like that
Yeah.
with EXPN, and a lot of it had to do with my music and my writing and stuff, obviously. But
Yeah.
so that was just like a questionnaire thing, and
That's a lot of questions, though. I feel like that was.
I can't
on
remember
for a
how many
while.
it was,
Yeah.
but
Oh, okay.
I remember looking it up. I archived it not too long ago, and
Is it on YouTube?
And no, and I was like, what were my answers all about? Like, what was it? I was just like a young kid, and I was just goofing off, answering some questions really.
Were they like random questions, like ketchup
Yeah,
or
it's like,
mustard?
what's the coolest thing you think you could ever see or something? And I said something about like a bald eagle riding a badger or something stupid. I don't even
So
know.
you were-
And like, but at the time, in my defense, at the time, there was this like ongoing joke in with some of my teammates that were like, that badgers were like really cool or something. I don't. There was some weird inside joke
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on. And when I read the article recently, I didn't remember that. And I'm like, what was I talking about? What am I doing? Thank God I got out of that. But so those were my 15 minutes on EXPN
Oh,
talking
man.
about badgers and bald eagles and stuff.
Oh man, that's fun. That's funny.
But that was a cool opportunity with Brian, because Brian was doing EXPN stuff for BMX.
You guys still in contact? Or?
I haven't talked to Brian in a long time. We're friends
wow.
on Facebook.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna shoot him a message, see how he's doing. Yeah, it's been a long time. Sorry, Brian.
Facebook, man.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's crazy how like it just social media connects everyone. Like you,
Yeah, it really does.
like
Yeah.
there are so many people on my social media that I haven't seen since like high school or middle school or even college. But because you're like friends with them on Facebook, you just like follow their life
Yeah,
vicariously,
exactly. Yeah.
and it's like you've never lost touch.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you have.
Yeah, you really have.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
But you're rationalizing that
Yeah.
you haven't. Nah, he went to Walmart yesterday. I know it.
I know it.
Because
I
he
saw
bought
it.
some new shower curtains. They're black. Yeah.
Oh man.
Creeper status.
So
Plug Walmart.
yo, they're like stepping it up.
You gotta
apparently.
start putting, dude, USA made online stores. They got like marketplaces. That's
Dude,
not
they're
a new
totally
thing. But,
trying to rip off Amazon right now.
boy, are we gonna get into like this big like corporate dispute? They're gonna shut your YouTube channel down. What are you thinking?
They're doing like the commercials with like, oh, you get this box from us
Yeah.
and free 2-day shipping, and I'm like, I know a company that does that.
Well, they
too.
got to. How are they gonna compete?
I know.
This whole interview is going to be us talking about like the development of our infrastructure in the country. Yeah, like Amazon's going to rule it all. They are though. It's crazy. You got to
Yeah.
put up with it. They're going to drone deliver you food. If you say I'm hungry, a cheeseburger is going to fly into this window from an Amazon drone, and you can order it on Prime.
Dude, I've tried the whole grocery thing online, and it's just like,
Yeah. I live in the woods. That wouldn't work. It'd be some dude in a Honda Civic trying to drive like 50 miles to my house out in the middle of the woods at night, trying to deliver me a half
I
gallon
do
of milk.
all
not
the
gonna happen.
I do everything the lazy way, like groceries. I even get like Uber Eats and stuff, and it's just like,
Yeah.
it's just like what we've.
You live in an
become.
area where you can do that though.
Yeah,
I
you
can't.
can't.
I gotta go outside and start the car.
Okay. So one last thing. You've you've done a lot of things in your past. Is there anything else that you did like before all this that's like pretty notable? Like before the engraving, before the, all that stuff.
I mean, I used to draw in school, but I think that's about it. Aside from the music, the BMX, and the whole car thing, and the laser engraving or whatever. But yeah, I think I used to draw. I used to have the patience to do it. I don't have the patience or the time anymore. So I used to like drawing and schematics and automotive style drawings and stuff. My dad used to do that too. He was really into drafting and all that sort of stuff. So I thought I was going to really get into it at an older age, but I found myself I just don't have the patience to sit down.
Yeah, I mean I went to art school for design, and I did a lot of courses with drawing and all that stuff, and it's tough, man. Perspective and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think it just became more of a I don't know, a time sensitive thing, and I just never took the time to do it. So maybe later in life, if I get the time to sit down, and the way things are going right now, everything's so hectic and crazy that I don't even remember what day it is. So
yeah, you're like super busy with everything else that you have going on.
It's pretty busy, but
it'd be super hard to take on another hobby.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the way I like it. I mean, I'm 32, I'm single, plug for all the
ladies.
Yeah, but no kids, not married, none of that stuff. I live alone, and it's still chaos. It's just straight chaos. We're thinking about booking a trip to England in 2 weeks for Ultimate Stance, and then fly straight from there to possibly to Florida for Simply Clean, just because it's, what else am I gonna do?
Yeah,
I don't know. So it's
I'm sure
it's
you
crazy.
Feel like you can never just like sit down and relax. You're always on the
But when I do, if it's like raining or something and there's no commission work coming in, I sit down and it's like you can finally punch out mentally. It's good. It's good. So I appreciate the quiet time more now than I did when I had a regular job. So yeah, it's good. I enjoy
regular jobs.
It's good. Yeah. Work harder. Yeah. I had to start my own business to be busier than I've ever been. Yeah. But it's good.
So who or what have been your biggest influences in life with everything you do?
My parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Between my upbringing, their guidance, their example, certainly my parents. Yeah. I know that sounds like kind of emotional, but definitely my parents. I mean, I strive to have a marriage like theirs. I strive to have the outlook on life that they do, and all that stuff. So I think they're my major influences. Yeah, I think so.
That's awesome,
even right down to like doing all the car stuff. It's like my father's been an instrumental, or he's played an instrumental role in all that stuff. So it's been, and I hear a lot of friends of mine say like, oh, it's cool that you have that. I wish I had that with my father or something. And I've never really stepped back and thought like, oh well, how could that not be with my father? Because he's always been into cars and always kind of he's the reason why I know how to work on cars or whatever. So that, and I think music as well. I think music's played a massive role in influencing me with writing music, but with riding BMX. When you're in the shop late at night, you're listening to your favorite music. Yeah, you just toss
on your favorite. That's it. Your favorite song at the time, and you just crank out your artwork or whatever you have to do.
And with BMX, if we were trying to film something, pull some trick down a handrail or something, and I was kind of stressing on it, you put your headphones on, put that favorite song on that pumps you up, and just send it.
Yeah.
But see, this is the thing about send it, and we're going to talk about that real quick. So at H2O this year, everyone's saying send it, but it's all these like 16 to 20-year-old kids, and it's all because of the just gonna send it guy, and it's like, that guy's rad. But when I was in high school, everybody said send it.
Yeah.
That's just the way it was. So it's funny that I feel like I'm getting old because I've heard that saying come back full circle, and everyone's upset. They're like, stop saying send it. I'm like, we said that.
Yeah.
We said it. And we're officially getting old because we remember when that was said for probably his fourth time around in social activity.
So last question before we end things. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Maybe right here. Maybe we should do this again in 5 years and we'll see how things are going.
Yeah.
In all honesty, man, I don't know. Life is just so uncertain and so unpredictable. I don't know. Like, it's been such a liberating feeling keeping doors open. Really. I mean, it's the laser engraving stuff is going great. I really enjoy what I do, but man, I don't know. In 5 years, I guess, to give you a more solid answer, I think writing music more. Yeah. I like that. I think that's going to be the new motivation the rekindling motivation. Yeah, I want to get back into writing more music. Yeah.
Dude, that'd be awesome, man.
Maybe 5 years, I'll be.
Your album
I'll have
will be
something
out.
substantial
We'll do an album review
on my SoundCloud. I'll have something finished finally. So maybe that. Yeah, maybe music.
That's a good goal, man.
But if not, hey,
keep doing the laser thing, cars thing.
Yeah, staying healthy, traveling, seeing the world if I can. You know, God willing, and yeah.
Awesome, man.
It's been a good time.
All right, man. So any closing thoughts, shout outs before we end this thing?
My parents, Christian and the Canna Beat boys. Man, I don't know. I mean, ending thoughts. I mean, do what you love. I mean, follow your passion.
Hell yeah, man.
Get out of that rut. Get out of that toxic relationship. Get motivated. Do something, you know? Like, you can sit around on the couch and think about all the what ifs, do this, do that. But I mean, I need to be telling myself this to help motivate myself too. But it's just get moving, do something, you know, like if you're not moving, you can't be moving forward. So I think that's my end thought is like, make something happen, you know?
Man.
And I mean, trial and error, send it.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right, man. Awesome. It's been real, man.
Hey, thanks for the
FCF
time.
tomorrow should be awesome.
Hey, tomorrow.
Looking forward to that. And yeah, man. This has been How It's Done podcast with John Ludwick Jr. We're out.
Peace.
That was cool.
That was way more like natural than the first one in Ocean City because it was like,
did you say that camera shut off?
Yeah, the camera shut off.
What the fuck? That one's still going.
I bet the battery died. We were doing this for how long?
I bet the battery died.
Yeah. An hour and 20.